My name is Arun. I'm solutions architect with Novintech, which is one of the best organization to work with. I'm also MCT, and today's topic is describe Azure Firewall. Well, we have covered firewall many times, but in this video, this is from the perspective of SC900. That's the reason we are going to describe it. So in order to understand a firewall, we need to understand this. Let's suppose you have a virtual network. Okay. This is your virtual network. If you create a virtual network, or you could say this is your private network. Whatever is inside, you have full faith, full trust on those resources, and they can talk to each other. But they also need to talk to the internet, right? And they also need to talk to other virtual network if you have in your environment, correct? For example, you have another virtual network right here, and they also need to talk to this network through a peering because we're talking about Azure. So even here, the incoming and outgoing is happening. So ultimately, the point is if your network is private, everything is inside your network, you are happy, you don't need anything, you think everything is going fine. But if you see holistically, you'll find the network is going outside because you're also browsing internet from these resources. Maybe you have publicly accessible applications, somebody is trying to access those resources. So, because your network traffic is going everywhere, you need something to protect your network traffic, that is firewall. Okay. So we can simply say in networking terms, the security guard is your firewall, which sits and checks the ID who is coming to meet you in your home, in your apartment, right? Or we can define it, if we talk about only firewall, firewall is a security device, either hardware, software, or combination of both, that monitors and controls incoming and outgoing network traffic based on the predefined security rules, because we define some rules here on your firewall. So what is the primary purpose of this firewall? If you see, because traffic is going in and out, which means we have two things. One is this external, right? And this one is internal, external, and this is our internal. This is internal. All right. We have two uh, things like external and internal, right? So its primary purpose is to establish barrier. This is a barrier between internal, which is our trusted network, and external, which is untrusted network, such as internet. And whatever traffic comes in and goes, this barrier will scan it, check it, apply rules, and block the malicious attacks, right? So that's what the firewall is. So if we need to explain why we need firewall, you can easily answer now, right? Because anyone on the internet can try to connect to your systems. We have heard about so many attacks, like a brute force attack, so many attacks that can happen to your resources if they are exposed to internet. It will help us block the malicious actors which can send harmful data or steal information. You may try to access some wrong website which gives you malware or something. You can block it, not only external, but from internal if you try to access something. Right. So your firewall solves the problem of unfiltered access. Let's put it this way. Unfiltered access, that would be the correct term. Right. That's what your firewall does. It will allow only the trusted and approved traffic. It will also monitor traffic so you can detect and stop attacks. So we have established what is a firewall as of now, why we need it, right? Now, if we talk about Azure Firewall, because it is a PaaS service, just like any PaaS service, it is managed. You no need to take care of the virtual machine and plan for active, passive scaling. All those things are taken care by Azure. Okay. This is Azure Firewall, cloud native, fully managed network security service that controls traffic to and from within your Azure virtual network. It has a built-in highly high availability. It has auto scalability, right? And you need not to worry about the patching and all those things. All right, and it is designed to ensure continuous operation and minimal downtime even in the event of failures or high traffic loads. But if you're deploying your NVAs, your virtual machine of firewall, not utilizing the PaaS service, that you have to plan for all those engagement, the peak loads, right? If one goes down, what happens? All those things. So we use Azure Firewall to protect Azure resources from internet-based threats, control outbound traffic so only approved destinations are reachable, right? Internet unfiltered access, inspect inbound traffic to block malicious requests, inbound traffic. And if we have multiple virtual network, let's suppose we have another virtual network here, we can utilize this, the firewall, put it in the hub and take care of these virtual network as well. And this would be a centralized management, one point to get in and get out, and this point is guarded by the Azure Firewall, right? Now let's quickly go ahead and check what all features Azure Firewall provides us. All right, so here we are. The very first is network rules. Okay, network rules to allow or block specific IP-based traffic like your database access, API communication, or server-to-server interaction. These rules will help us because these are like NSGs, source IP address, destination IP ranges, protocol, destination ports. All those things will help us applying the rules, network rules. Okay, it is like you allow app server to connect to SQL server only on port 1433. So it is just like our NSG. Then we have application rules. So what are application rules? Well, it is this control traffic based on FQDNS rather than IP address. I should write this down. FQDN. So we are creating rules on the basis of FQDN. It is like you allow internal users to access only payroll.company.com and block all other internet sites, right? And this is based on IP address, IP and ports. What IPs? IPs of source and destination and protocol, right? Just like NSG. Now we have third, which is DNet. NAT is network address translation. DNet is destination address translation. What is the destination here is your Azure resource. So what is happening? The address is translating. In what exactly we mean by that? It is like public request to the public IP address of your firewall will be translating to private IP address. Okay. It is like safely expose internal apps or services to the internet. It maps it is like here we have public IP, right? Public IP on our Azure firewall. And somebody from outside, let's suppose there is an internet, try to access this firewall or this public IP, and this public IP will translate into the internal IP of a resource. Okay, public IP and DNetting into the internal IP of a resource. All right, so we can simply say public request translating to private IP, right? That is your DNet. Now we have SNet as well, which is again network address translation, but this is source. Now, what is source here? Again, we are seeing from the Azure perspective. Now, the Azure resource is trying to access the internet, right? That is source. It is it changes the source IP of outbound traffic to the firewall's own public IP address. So it is like this VM or all VM on particular subnet talking to the internet appear as coming from the firewall's public IP address. So if this guy is sitting here, this guy try to access, it will go to the firewall, rules will apply, SNet will apply, it will go to the request here, and this guy will see from here the request is coming from the public IP, not the private IP of the resource. Why we use it? So external systems see a single predictable IP address first of all, and it is required when internal private IPs can't be routed over the internet. Right? These are the two things that's why we use it. SNAT. It changes the source IP of outbound traffic to the firewall's public IP address. So we can simply say private IP to public IP of firewall. Translate. Then we have one more, which is threat intelligence. Okay. As the name says, it has the intelligence data on threat because it integrates with the Microsoft's global threat database to block traffic from or to known malicious IPs and domains and to prevent attacks from sources already identified as risky. We utilize this data. Okay. So if a hacker's IP appears in Microsoft threat feed, Azure Firewall will auto block their traffic. So we can say it is a known database. Okay. And all those things will apply from the firewall. Then we have ID based filtering. So what is ID based filtering or FQN tags? These are the tags for your Azure services. So why we use it? To be honest, it is like saving time. No need to manually list dozens of domains for a service because these are predefined sets of domain names for Azure services. So you can allow all VMs to connect to Microsoft Windows Update without opening generic internet access. So it is to save time and you can allow, you can use these for Azure services. Access of Azure services. Example, all VM connect to Microsoft Update Manager, right? So no need to do list the dozens of FQDN or email address manually. So it will help you. Now, this is again a wonderful feature, which is multiple IP address. Now you can see in legacy way, a lot of things happen through patting, right? So we don't need incoming patting on Azure Firewall or uh, padding is port address translation because it has a capability of multiple IP address. Even Microsoft recommends this. So to host multiple DNet rules services on separate IPs, we can utilize multiple public IP address. You can assign those to the same Azure firewall. So one public IP for your website, another for your remote desktop gateway, another for your another stuff, right? So multiple IPs can be assigned to the single Azure firewall. These are all the features which is like always available. These here are some premium features, or you can say this is only with the premium, but one of them is like this one is with the standard as well because there are multiple SKUs of firewall. We'll see that. All right, so IDPs. What are IDPs? First of all, let's understand IDs are Intrusion detection, IPs are intrusion prevention. So in detection, we detect and alerts on malicious traffic patterns. IPS, we actively blocks those malicious attempts in real time. These are signature based and using Microsoft's continuously updated threat intelligence and rules from industry standard. Uh, you know, we use that to catch attacks before they reach your network, like SQL injection, cross-site scripting, brute force attempts, all those things. You can enable it from the firewall policies. It is like if an attacker tries a SQL injection, Azure Firewall Premium detects the signature and blocks the request immediately. That is IDP and IPs, and it comes with the premium feature. Now, TLS inspection. So most attacks now hide in encrypted traffic without decryption. You cannot inspect it, but we can decrypt the data either out inbound or outbound and inspect it for threats and then re-encrypt it. That can be done with the help of TLS inspection or SSL inspection, which is again is a feature in Azure Firewall Premium. For that, you need to import a trusted CA certificate into Azure Key Vault, link your Key Vault to Azure Firewall, and enable TLS inspection. So your user visits a compromised HTTPS website without TLS inspection. Malware inside that encrypted traffic could pass through unnoticed. But now you have enabled this through the cert and all, it can be blocked easily. Then we have web categorized filtering. It lets you block or allow based on website categories. For example, gambling, social media, adult content. So rather than blocking one by one, you can simply choose that category. It is like you blocking employees from visiting gambling sites but allow access to finance and banking categories. Okay, I should write here. This will help us to summarize gambling or adult content category, right? And here we was uh, encrypt, decrypt, or decrypt, encrypt. Here again, intrusion detection and prevention. Then we have URL filtering. What is URL filtering? As the name says, we are filtering on the basis of URL. It is like granular control down to specific URLs, not just domains. Why we use it? Because some sub pages may be unsafe even if the parent site is trusted. For example, there is example.com is fine, but example.com/malware is not fine, right? So this is a complete one URL instead of domain. You can apply the rules. Then we have advanced threat intelligence. Here we have threat intelligence. Here we have advanced threat intelligence because here we also engage with Microsoft database along with third-party threat intel sources for zero-day and fast-changing threats. This reduces the gap between when a threat is discovered and when it is blocked. I mentioned zero-day, right? So you can enable threat intelligence, alert deny, or inbound, outbound in your firewall premium. So these are some wonderful features provided by Azure Firewall. Along with that, logging analytics is there. You can enable the logs, send it to your SIEM solution if you like, right? And we have already talked about high availability and auto scaling. Now, there is something I would like to show you, which is the here you go. We have three SKUs of Azure Firewall, the basic, standard, and premium. If we see premium, we have all the wonderful features that we talked in the end. Managed IDPs, URL filtering, outbound TLS, inbound TLS, threat intelligence based filtering, known malicious IP, advanced threat protection. It is also there in the standard, right? So these are the with the standard web content, advanced threat, DNS proxy, custom DNS, and even basic is not that basic. It has a lot of stuff there also. If you have a small environment, you can utilize the basic firewall with L3 to L7 filtering, right? All those things, right? If you talk about the pricing, it is priced based on the deployment per hour and the data processing. All right, so I think we have described enough. All right. So if we need to just summarize, Azure Firewall is managed, right? Azure Firewall is a PaaS service, managed service with high availability, auto scaling, right? What is firewall? We know it is a barrier between internal and external environment where we apply some rules so that we can scan it and have the filtered access, or rather unfiltered access, right? If we have multiple private environment, we can place it in a hub and it would be centralized management for us. So if you talk about what are all the features that we talked about, so we have so many features in Azure Firewall. For example, like network rules, it is like NSG, works on IP, port, and protocol. Application rules, which works on FQDN. You type Microsoft.com, allow or deny. Don't deny it. Then DNet, we talked about public request to private IP. Then SNet is the reverse of DNet. In both the cases, destination is Azure resource. Somebody is accessing from outside. In source is Azure. Azure is accessing outside, so private to public. Then we have the database, which is threat intelligence, known database, which will see the traffic coming in. It will read if it is coming from the known thread, it will block. Then we have ID based filtering or FQN tag, which tag these are the tags for the Azure services, and you can utilize it is like convenience. It will save your time if you would like to open the traffic for the Azure services, because Azure service is backed by multiple FQDN or the IP address because it's service. So you can utilize the tag. Then you can apply multiple IPs on the Azure firewall because it doesn't support inbound padding. It supports outbound padding automatically, but not the inbound one because Microsoft recommends use the public IP address, multiple public IP address for it. So you can apply for those, one for your application, one for your remote RDP, similarly one for another application like that. Then these are some amazing premium feature IDPs, which is intrusion detection and prevention service, TLS, where we would decrypt the traffic, check what is there in the content, re-encrypt and send it. Then we have category filtering. You can apply the filtering on the basis of category. You want to block the gambling, adult websites, or maybe the social websites. You have URL filtering where you would not like to just allow a particular domain, but you would like to block a particular page. It happens, right? Then we have advanced threat intelligence where you can also have the capability to stop 0 day because it also integrate with third party and all those things. So I hope it was informative. We just summarize quickly. And yes, we have basic, we have standard, and we have premium firewalls. And the pricing is based on deployment, which is per hour. Okay. And the data processing. That's how on these things the pricing depends. So with this, we are describe the firewall in pretty deep, which is more than enough for SC 900. Well, I hope it was interesting. You learned something new. Thank you for watching. You guys have a wonderful day.